We're going to open the regular Urban Renewal Commission meeting. We're late. We were in executive session, so we have a Urban Renewal Commission regular meeting that we need to do before our City Commission meeting. All right. So I will call to order the Urban Renewal Commission meeting for Wednesday, September 2nd. Call roll.
Commissioner Shaw?
Here.
Commissioner Benville?
Here.
Commissioner Holliday is coming. Commissioner Pauly?
Here.
Commissioner Mangelberg?
Here.
And Chair Smith?
Here. Are there any citizen comments? I'm not seeing any. Adoption of the agenda. Anything that anyone needs to change or move? All right, and that brings us to general business. We have 15-477 Adaptive Reuse Building Rehabilitation Program Grant for 615 High Street. Eric.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is a request for an adaptive reuse rehab grant for 615 High Street, which is just across the street there, for building renovations. This grant was reviewed and scored by the internal grant review committee. Executive sessions got me all spinning. And so we're recommending that we award this grant at 75%, which is $112,000, with an award of the remaining 25% once we see a true mixed use, a documented mixed use for the building. It is proposed mixed use currently, but the intent of our grants, it's not well documented that it will be a mixed use. The intent of our grant is a mixed use, and right now it looks like it could just be constructed into office space. But once we see a true mixed use, we would be gladly awarding that remaining 25%. So the project is to have renovations that make the space tenantable. Right now it's not tenantable at all. There are many issues with the building. It would employ 21 new employees is what is being estimated. The building currently sits vacant and it's not suitable for habitation. Following remediation, existing concrete will be sandblasted and remained exposed where possible. Floors will be stained concrete. A new guardrail system consisting of vertical stainless steel cables and steel handrails will be installed in the upper lobby and connect to the lower lobby. Millwork will be added as accent walls, doors, and trim finish, and walls will be framed, drywalled, and painted. Recessed lighting and LED rope lighting will be added in common areas that include restrooms, trash room, and mechanical electrical rooms. Common hallways and lobbies are included in the renovations. Mechanical, electrical, and portions of the plumbing systems will be upgraded to support a diverse range of tenants. At the time the application was submitted, the owner was in discussions with a high-scale restaurant, though no agreement is currently in place. And with that, the committee has approved this project unless the commission contests that approval.
All right.
Okay.
Any comments? Or?
I do have a couple questions or comments.
All right.
And maybe the applicant can come up.
Yeah.
So one thing
Do you want to introduce yourself?
Sure.
Thank you.
My name is Derek Metzen with Greenbox Architecture.
Thank you.
Right on. Well, one thing I want to mention, though, is that, I mean, this is the reason why we have urban renewal, and this rehabilitation grant is such a fantastic tool. I mean, right now, I guess the assessed value is like $200,000, and when fully developed, it could be up to $1 million, and that's the whole reason why we do these things. A couple questions I have is, you mentioned in here that you were thinking that maybe you have an agreement with the restaurant owner.
We're in discussions with the restaurant owner. They have a vision of a high-scale restaurant taking over the patio and everything that's not owner-occupied at this time, and then subleasing a portion to an art gallery. If that overall plan doesn't work, the owner is still interested in pulling in an art gallery potentially for the space. But those things are in negotiation.
So I'm trying to understand, you know, the last, $37.5 that you would give them. How would they use it later on. I mean, ultimately, you need the money for just to make it a viable project, right? So that it can be used for potential tenants.
Certainly. It would be great to receive all of that up front. The hope was that that would go in with the owner's cash currently to renovate the entire building. It's come to our attention that it comes at the end, so that puts us more at a crunch than we were anticipating to finance it because of the condition of the building. Bank financing is difficult, if not impossible to get, similar to a HUD home, which you may be familiar with. So, certainly if that was upfront. If it was to come in later on, it would go towards tenant improvements, perhaps some FF&E items, but we could do just as much with it now.
And it's already zoned as mixed use, right? Right. And then the only other thing I had was that, you talk about that the reason why this whole building was designed to go lower than up is for the view. And I see that there's you're alluding that maybe in the future there's actually 2-story building that you're planning on doing. And I might have reservations with that, but anyways, I for one recommend approval of this for the full amount.
Full amount being 150,000.
Mm-hmm. Yes, 150,000.
Is that a motion?
No, I don't think we're done speaking yet, are we? So
There's other speakers.
Well, I wanted to. I agree with staff in the sense that I think it's an important project. I think it's an important building that definitely needs to be used. It's a major pedestrian corridor. I'm not that excited about it being offices, so I see why some of that Melanie was held, because we would love to see that be something other than offices. At least I would. Even hearing that there's conversations with a restaurant and an art gallery, that's something that to me would be so much better. So I guess it's for that reason that I'm uncomfortable giving the full amount, because I think there should be a carrot there for the best use of that space. I guess that's all I'll say about that. Commissioner Shaw.
did we already give some money to this? Didn't we do some
Storefront grant.
Storefront
Yeah.
grant? How much was that?
That was 40,000. And thank you.
Yeah, really. So, obviously, you guys have all have followed the rules and everything. So we, it's kind of a go here. But my concern a little bit is the amount. If this goes to 150,000 plus the 40,000 we've already put into this, is that correct?
Yes, but it's a different focus for each grant. So we've got the outside with the storefront, and then this is really not a tenantable space. And just do the outside is putting lipstick on a pig.
Well, I know, but we've had a lot of projects that weren't tenable projects. If you look at Main Street, there's quite a few of them that were that way. So,
Right.
I guess to be the devil's advocate, then why did they buy it?
It's
Can't answer that.
if I can speak to that.
Sure.
It's a beautiful piece of real estate. There is opportunity. A part of that opportunity is going up 2 floors. When it was built in the 60s, it was built to the market. And currently we would like to see more dense and vertical development. And that's why.
I would just add that that's one of the reasons these programs are in place, to incentivize investment. And so it could be where they wouldn't have considered buying this piece of property and renovating it if it weren't for the assistance.
Right.
And to give a framework in the discussion, the HVAC system that we have to put in, because we have to rip absolutely everything out, is 140 all by itself. And that's just heating, ventilation, and cooling. The other item to consider with that carrot, and I completely understand why staff put that in there. I thought, oh, that's reasonable and clever. Going through the process of bringing in a different type of tenant is not a simple hurdle as just leasing the space, but it's also changing the occupancy. And as our building official in the back of the room can attest to, the upgrades that would be required in addition to just improving the space for fire and life safety and other requirements.
And we're scoring strictly off the the core purpose of this
Right.
grant.
Well, that's just it. You know, these guys have followed the rules and everything, but I still have trouble putting $190,000 on one project like this. And so I would like to see us in the future maybe have a little work session about maybe some kind of a cap on this, because there's other projects I'm sure we're going to have to need to put some money at. So anyway, that's all I got.
Comments?
Go ahead. You were first.
If it were a mixed-use development, would the parking space above the building be available to provide additional parking for a more intense use? Because right now it looks like there's limited parking.
Fantastic question. We have parked the site to the maximum extent it can be. So it would be upon the owner to negotiate a lease agreement with other tenants or other landowners to lease their parking for off hours. The city code currently allows for diverse tenants or occupancies to sublease spaces. So, for instance, the Chris Feely used to have a dentist's office. I forget who the dentist that owns it now is, right over here, but they have a ton of parking, which is within 1,000 feet, and so they could easily lease that, for instance.
Well, and the Promenade Building, Kerry Mitchell owns the parking lot that is kitty corner from the other end of that block.
Mm-hmm.
And accounting firm, daytime, that parking lot's empty most of the time. So that's another place that you might be able to get additional off-street parking.
Anyone have a motion or sorry,
Carol.
go for
Okay,
it.
yeah. No, go ahead.
No, go ahead. No, I said it's done in general. Go ahead.
Okay. It sounds like you fully intend to lease mixed use, though,
That's what it was designed for.
because you get higher rents. You'll get higher rents. It'll be better for you in general. So does not getting the full amount of the grant, do you think it limits you from going to the mixed use? Is it going to make it more challenging for you to actually fulfill what you want to do?
It makes it more challenging to do anything.
Okay.
We have examined these three bids, other options to bring down cost, and in fact, we were having a discussion in the back of the room while you're in executive session about how can we make this project pencil, and it's kind of come to the point where we've been as competitive as we can to get the quality that the city would like and the owner would like for a long-term hold, to make it tenable and to make this project move forward. But we've kind of run out of places to cut and scrimp. And so any help the city is willing to provide, we're very thankful for.
Yeah, my only hesitation is just that I feel that the restaurant component of that mixed use component is worth putting extra money into, but being not sure of that, it's kind of hard to know whether or not we want to take that risk with and then find out that it didn't work out. Any
I guess
direction?
I would support the concerns of Rocky and Brian that we do need to reserve some funds back to incentivize the mixed use, and if a mixed use tenant comes to you, then you can put that portion toward customizing their space based on their need. So I would go with staff recommendation on this.
Do we have a motion?
I thought staff recommendation was the full amount.
No.
No, it wasn't. It
Oh,
was-
okay. So I have a question before we go to the motion, and that is there isn't any restriction that we couldn't say that
Hold it.
not hold it so much as and I've been an advocate of this for a long time that maybe some of this should be a no interest loan rather than an outright grant. That once the building is, you're talking about taking the building from about $400,000 and having it be worth $1.6 million, right? Those are the general numbers.
Yeah.
We're like
So
2.6 up, but
Less at the front side.
260, yeah.
well, I
2.6,
just saw the property tax report and it's assessed at $398. So.
Oh, okay.
So that's a pretty large jump in value.
Mhm.
So I could see a 10-year no interest loan for 70, that maybe half of that, so that they get their money up front, but at some point in time they pay us back out of the the profits that they're going to receive by getting this stuff done and renting out the space. That way urban renewal is getting the money back that we can then use for some other project.
That's a good idea.
Which we
But-
can do at a work session.
But
That's not what we have.
I don't
Yeah.
think we have the resources to oversee a loan and to enforce it and that sort of thing.
How do you mean?
Enforce? Well, a loan is a lot of management. So when you're managing loans that over a long period of time, we don't have the resources to do that.
Well, I'd like to hear Wyatt Parno tell me that before you say that.
Yeah, but he's.
Okay, I'm just going by previous discussions that we've had, grants versus loans,
No, I know.
and that was the.
But I don't think you had a strong advocate on the city commission to maybe look at that program and make it successful.
Maybe we can look at that as a workshop for
A work
future
session. Yeah, yeah,
grants.
yeah,
and
yeah.
I think it might
Okay.
be
Yeah.
another option, but for this one,
I'm going to move move for approval of 15-477 as written.
Second.
Call for the vote. Moved and seconded.
Commissioner Shaw,
Aye.
Commissioner Benville,
I wasn't going to win anyway, so yeah.
Commissioner Holiday,
It's not a hill you're willing to die on, Derek. Aye.
Commissioner Polly,
Aye.
Commissioner Mangelberg,
Aye.
Chair Smith.
Aye. All
May I,
right.
may I ask for a clarification?
Yes.
In which time frame would that 37.5 be allocated towards the project? And would that be allocated towards residential if that was to be in the upper two floors?
Well, it's as soon as you provide documentation, it's all reimbursement. So upon completion of the project, that's when you would receive the funds. But we would make sure that that's in place once we receive documentation that it would be a mixed use. So
that's
once
not-
you show us confirmation that you have a restaurant or
Right.
a residential use, then we would apply that remaining 25%.
If it remains vacant for 18 months or 26 months in search of that key tenant, would that?
We don't have any specifications on that in the grant, so.
Great. Thank you very much.
But,
Yeah.
but for this last 37.5, would it have to come back to here?
Well, they would have to, no, it would not.
Okay.
No, because you're approving it right now. But you would have to complete the project within a year. And so that's when reimbursement happens.
That's
Oh,
true.
so that
So that's-
tenant would need to be in
that's
place.
a criteria of the grant.
in a
It
year.
has to be
Okay.
completed
That
within
is an
12
important
months.
part.
Yes.
All right.
So just as an aside, that presents more incentive or evidence for me that we need to have the ability to have a loan program as well as a grant program. Because maybe, part of that could be up front as a loan and that gets them over the hump and, anyway, that's my argument.
I want to clarify something, Eric. So you said that the project needs to be done within a year, but not necessarily the tenant.
No.
Just
The project needs to be
The
completed, and they
project.
need to have a certificate of occupancy.
Okay.
That's part of
So
the
they do
completion.
need to have tenants.
So we have criteria for the completion, that they have to show us that they have the final invoice from the contractor, that they've paid that, and then they have a certificate of occupancy that's been inspected by the building official.
And that includes the tenant improvement on the first space.
Yes,
But they don't
Right.
necessarily have to have a tenant or a lease signed.
right.
Well, but
Okay.
you're not going to complete a tenant improvement if you don't have a tenant to improve it for a specific use, unless you're going to take a huge risk and just say, we're going to build out some unspecified
So-
office area and hope somebody shows up.
We're looking for something that's a letter of intent signed by the future tenant, possibly. That would give us enough to trigger that 25%.
And is there anything saying that we couldn't come back, that he couldn't come in 10 months and ask for an extension?
Yeah, there is.
I can't hear you.
Sorry. Yes, there would be, because of restrictions on bonded indebtedness might come into play, maybe not.
Copy that. Okay.
So we would have to have that letter of intent
Pretty soon.
within the next year.
Mm,
Clarify.
no. Well,
Okay.
the letter intent you'd have to get it before you can even get the last 37.5, right?
Correct. I mean, for the last 37.5 to achieve that.
That would be the 12 months. It'd be
Okay.
upon completion or prior to the project. Yeah, so they have 12 months to show that. Because we will not distribute any funds without the completion.
Okay.
I see.
All right, thank you.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Future agenda items.
Yeah.
Loan,
Lining up here.
you want that on future agenda items?
Yeah.
Your
Yes.
topic?
Well,
Yeah.
future work session,
A work
Work
session
session?
for
Yeah.
loans,
Yeah.
for authorizing
Okay.
loans.
We have it.
Okay.
Anything else? City manager report, if any.
I have nothing tonight,
No.
I think.
Okay, we're gonna adjourn. We'll probably adjourn for what?
5 minutes.
5-minute break, and then we'll start.